a sad day here in Studio 40. A very sad day. My name's Lucas Panzica. That's Malcolm Harris. You know who we are. My partner in crime. It's our last show together.
What's up, baby?
Here, man.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right, but I'm not all right.
I'm all right, but I'm not all right either, man. It's the final show for both of us. How do you feel?
Mixed emotions, man. It's been a ride. It's been a couple of years. This man's about to graduate.
Woo!
This man's moving on to some big things. But thank God we've got conference championships to talk about to ease the pain of this being our final show. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's keep it in the footprint for the first one. The SEC championship was this weekend. And big surprise of who won the SEC championship. Florida, though, first drive goes down and strikes first. Appleby to Antonio Callaway. But here we go. Non-offensive touchdowns. Number 13 of the year for Alabama. Been the theme all year. 45-yard return for Mecca Fitzpatrick.
I cannot say enough about Mecca Fitzpatrick and just his ability. True sophomore as well. So
Johnny Townsend's punt here, blocked by Derek Gore, a running back. Picked up by Josh Jacobs, another backup running back. Returned 25 yards. So the running backs on special teams doing it for Alabama there. Their 14th non-offensive touchdown of the year. And then the next play on that extra point, the extra point blocked, Adam Griffith's extra point, returned by David Reese, 100 yards, the big fella. So Alabama gets a taste of their own medicine there, but 2 points really doesn't make much of a dent for Florida in terms of the final score.
At all.
This is, I think, really where the game officially got out of hand when Appleby to Goolsby on that 4th and goal. Couldn't get it.
He almost snagged on it, too.
Almost snagged
he
it.
did.
Almost got that foot down. Alabama marches down. Burr Scarborough punches it in. Had 11 carries for 91 yards and a touchdown. Alabama wins 54-16, their third straight SEC championship. We talk about this being the best conference in the country, and one team's won it for 3 years in a row. I mean, I just don't. It's hard.
It is so
It's hard to say, but they're unbeatable right now.
Alabama is a machine. Whether you're looking at Jalen Hurts with Lane Kiffin as his offensive coordinator, whether you're looking at that defense led by some future first-round talent, Lucas, it just doesn't stop. And, one can say SEC dominance, but are we really dominating in the SEC, or is it Alabama dominance?
Exactly, and their depth is just so unbelievable. One 5-star goes out, another one goes in. Reuben Foster, the MVP of the game, had a phenomenal game. But really what gets me about Reuben Foster in that linebacking core is the depth of it. You've got a guy like Rashaan Evans, who was a 5-star number 2 inside linebacker in his class when he was recruited. And he's
sitting.
The second, exactly. He's sitting on the bench at Alabama.
Sitting. That's unbelievable.
All right, we'll move on a little bit. The Big Ten championship, this is a wild game. Penn State and Wisconsin. Wisconsin opened the scoring pretty early. Corey Clement, a 67-yard run. He had a pretty good day, 164 yards and this touchdown. So Wisconsin jumps out to an early 14-0 lead, but Trace McSorley had a day
look
as well.
Look at these throws he's making, and look at this snag.
The big man goes up and gets it. Mike Gesicki for 33 yards and a touchdown. McSorley again. Saeed Blacknall in the third quarter, 70 yards. McSorley had 284 yards and 4 touchdowns on the day. Blacknall as well, 155 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also a great game for the receiver. And so Penn State draws within 3, and McSorley, I think this is his best throw of the night, 18 yards to Saquon Barkley.
That's a dime right there. And look at the stop on 4th and 1.
4th down, that seals it for Penn State. So they win their conference. Penn State are the Big Ten champions, the 4th Big Ten championship, first one under James Franklin.
How about James Franklin? Before we even continue, James Franklin has turned this program around from sanctions 3 years ago now to Big Ten champs. I don't care if they made it in the playoff or not. What a job by James Franklin.
Well, let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
Penn State wins the conference. Penn State won head-to-head against the other Big Ten team that makes the playoff in Ohio State. Where are you at here? Where are you at? Should Ohio State have been in, or should it have been Penn State?
Listen, I am very invested into the college football playoff. I like it, but there needs to be adjustments. Penn State should not be in the college football playoff. I think they got it right. Why are you looking at me like that? Why are you looking at me like that? They got it right. It was clear as day.
In theory, yes, I agree. They did get it right. Ohio State is a better football team on all cylinders. But this is a results-based business, is it not? And I think the 2 results you should look at when picking between 2 teams that have played each other in the same conference to go to the playoff are conference championship, division championships. Buckeyes didn't even win their division. Throw back to when Urban Meyer said in 2006, if you don't win your conference, you shouldn't be able to play for a national championship. And Penn State won the head-to-head. Penn State is 10-2, but I would take an 11-2 team that won the conference and won the head-to-head over an 11-1 team that didn't even win the division.
That's very true. But the thing is, we left the BCS system for a reason.
You're right.
And that reason was because we wanted the true 4 best teams. And there needs to be adjustments to the college football playoff. There needs to be a Power 5 spots, and then 3 at-large bids for a total of 8 teams in the college football playoff. And how we're going to do this will truly dictate who is going to be the national champion. We need to shift to that.
Do you think we'll ever get to that point?
When a team like Alabama or a team like Ohio State gets left out, then it'll bring our attention, okay, we need to do something about this, because that's the best football team in college football being left out.
Certainly a controversial selection Sunday yesterday. So in other conferences, Washington wins the Pac-12. They're in. They're playing Alabama in that first game. Oklahoma wins the Big 12, beating Oklahoma State. Clemson wins the ACC. No huge surprise there. Western Michigan wins the MAC. They've got that. They've got a bid into a pretty big bowl game. So let's talk a little more playoff. Washington, Alabama, number 4, number 1. Can they pose any sort of threat?
I mean, Washington just has so much talent. They do. But when I look at this Alabama team, this is the best team Nick Saban has had in his tenure at Alabama.
Absolutely.
I know you've had teams loaded with talent like Julio Jones, teams with Derrick Henry, teams with Amari Cooper. This is pound for pound the best team that he has had at Alabama.
I completely agree. Absolutely.
So I don't see anybody touching Alabama. I don't.
Washington's only loss against USC, right? What happened when USC played Alabama in that first game of the year?
It
52-6 was the score.
A bloodbath.
Right. I don't know if Washington can pose any sort of threat to Alabama. We'll see what Jake Browning can do against that secondary.
And he is he should be in New York.
Absolutely.
We'll get into that
We'll
later.
get to that. So, other game over there, Clemson, Ohio State. Should be a pretty good football game. Which of those two do you think matches up better with Alabama in the title game? We're going to go ahead and assume that they're in there.
I'm still not sold on Clemson as a team. I love Deshaun Watson as what he is doing, but Clemson could have lost potentially 3 more games this season, and they didn't. So I'm definitely looking for Ohio State led by J.T. Barrett. They're going to do some great things, and this Ohio State team is real.
Absolutely.
They are real.
So let's get into this, because this is always kind of the argument that college football fans find ourselves in kind of at this point this season. SEC versus Big Ten, that's kind of been a lot of talk about that this season. I know you're maintaining the SEC is the best conference in the country, but you got to admit that this argument by the Big Ten is not completely invalid. You look at the top 10 alone, you got Ohio State, Penn State at number 5, Michigan's right up there, Wisconsin, and then Iowa and Nebraska are also ranked. You look at the SEC, of course, there's Alabama, that's clearly, bar none, the best team in the country. And then the next in line ranked is Auburn at 17. And then you got LSU and Florida, and that's it for the SEC. I mean, you can agree, disagree, but you got to admit that it's a valid argument.
It is a valid argument for the Big Ten to make, because obviously there are some great teams within the Big Ten. You know, you're looking at Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Nebraska, so-and-so. But, you know, when I look at the bowl games from last year, you know, say a team like Northwestern was ranked 13 and Tennessee was around, you know, hovering 19 and even unranked in some polls. Tennessee smacked. They didn't just beat. They smacked smacked Northwestern 42-6. So you can't sit here and tell me that the Big Ten is elite when on the big stage, head-to-head, they flopped. And that's not the only time that happened last year.
But what if I were to say, I agree that on average, and even a Mississippi State will beat a Michigan State, 2 pretty mediocre teams this year in the SEC and Big Ten. But talking about elite teams, would you argue with me if I said the Big Ten had more elite teams than the SEC this year?
I would completely. Let me think about it. Hold on. Would I argue? I would not. Because I had to sit there and think about the question.
Because you've got 3 teams that are vying for a playoff spot.
And I mean,
SEC, you got Alabama that's locked down. Then there's no other possibility.
You see Alabama is here, and then the drop-off is pretty consistent.
Bigger than we've seen in a long time.
Years. But you know, for example, with the Big Ten, you have your Ohio State, Michigan, and your Penn State, which are, I mean, neck and neck.
Right.
You have 3 powerhouses, and then you have other teams in the rankings as well. So that it makes an interesting point. But I will say that, you know, the SEC is a big boy conference for a reason. And to this day, I truly believe that the SEC is the best conference in all of college football.
Well, bowl season will be very telling. Unfortunately, we only get to see 2 Big Ten SEC matchups. One of them is Nebraska, Tennessee. The other one is Iowa, Florida. So not the best matchups to tell us.
That's not a good.
But we'll see how the rest of the teams do going forward. We're going to go to break real quick. Stick with us. We'll be back. A lot more to talk about in this final show of the season, final show of our careers.
Oh,
Mecca.
My goodness.
We'll get to that later. Stay with us.
Student Health Center offers a variety of services for students, faculty, and staff of the university. Our full-service pharmacy is staffed with licensed pharmacists who are dedicated to the health and well-being of the UT community. Located on campus across from the Rock, the UT Student Health Center Pharmacy provides the same services offered at large retail chains at your convenience. We accept most insurance plans, so you will be able to purchase the medication you need for an affordable price. At the University of Tennessee, your health is essential. So come by our pharmacy and remember, a healthy vol is a happy vol.
Welcome back to Sports Mecca here in Studio 40. Let's talk some Tennessee basketball.
Wow.
A big win this weekend against Georgia Tech, 81-58. Former Memphis coach Josh Pastner came back into the building. Did not go well for him.
It did not
The
at
Vols
all.
played well, though, and we're seeing a lot of youth in this team. Shambari Phillips had a good game at point guard, 14 points and 7 assists. He might be cementing himself in that point guard spot.
When's the last time we had a decent point guard?
I don't
2011? Tyler Smith. He got
Jordan
kicked off.
McRae. I mean, Jordan
Was
McRae
he a true point
no,
guard?
he wasn't. He wasn't. He just scored points.
Yeah.
But Grant Williams, another freshman, also had 14 points on the day. He's been a huge presence
He has
down low
been.
for the Vols. I mean, I think this is a very freshman-driven team this year.
It is. They're going to be great in a couple of years. And you add pieces. He obviously didn't play, but Admiral Schofield is going to be one heck of a player for Coach Barnes. And if he ever gets out the doghouse, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And Robert Hubbs is, he's starting. It's starting to click.
Yeah.
Starting, I guess. I mean,
Coach Barnes never hesitates to dog Robert
No,
Hubbs in front of
ever,
the media.
ever.
Absolutely. He knows the expectations he's got for him. But it's good to see Barnes kind of take charge of this team. Some of these are his players now.
these are his guys.
But can this young lineup take the Vols to the tournament?
What tournament?
You tell me.
I mean, the NIT tournament? Nah, seriously, I love the talent on this Tennessee basketball team, but no, it's not the NCAA tournament, but you can still say that, they're fresh, but in a year or two, I definitely think they'll be in the tournament.
But I certainly think they can finish better than
Oh,
the spot that they were
absolutely.
picked in the SEC second to last. I think they're a better basketball team.
Absolutely, they're way better than that.
All right, so we took a little break from football. Let's go ahead and get back to it. Pro football this weekend. Cowboys and Vikings on Thursday night. A great game. Cowboys, probably the best team in the league right now.
I cannot say enough about Dak Prescott.
Took a while for them to find some offense, but here we go. Dak to Dez right there for 52 yards. Zeke punches it in on the next play. Dak to Dez again, screen, 8 yards, runs it in.
You're too small, big fella. You're too small.
Dez, 84 yards and a touchdown on the day. I mean, man, this Cowboys team.
I'm the biggest Cowboy hater around, other than maybe Stephen A. Smith. I have never believed in Jerry Jones. I felt like he was essentially a cancer to the Cowboy organization. But I will say that the Cowboys got it right with Dak starting over Romo. And the Cowboys, if they keep it together on offense and just keep doing the things they're doing on defense with their linebackers, with their corners, and they're going to be fine.
I think their defense has been really overlooked this season. They shut down that Vikings offense on Thursday. And can these two rookies take them to a Super Bowl realistically?
Realistically, I think so, because we haven't seen a running back since Peterson do what Ezekiel Elliott has done. He actually shattered, Tony Dorsett's rookie record for touchdowns in a season. I think he's up to, 13 now? And I can't say enough about Zeke right now. He is running away with Rookie of the Year. So they're for real.
Cowboys playing the Giants next, who they, of course, lost to in Week 1. We'll do a little bit of pick 'em later on. We'll pick that game. Now, this one I know hurts for you a little bit.
Do we
Chiefs
have
and
to talk
Falcons.
about
Now,
this?
we got to talk
Oh,
about
my
it. Man,
gosh.
we wouldn't talk about it if it wasn't for this VFL Eric Berry
Gosh.
making these plays in this game. I mean, you had to be a little conflicted.
Oh, my God.
Eric Berry picked off at the 40. Just
Devontae, make that
vintage Eric
tackle.
Berry.
Make that
Tennessee
tackle.
fans know it well. Takes it back. I mean, this guy's just one of the best guys in the
He
NFL.
is, he
With
is.
all that, gives the ball to mom. I mean, how you can't hate this
you
guy.
cannot at all, and I want to so bad, but he's the ultimate ball for life.
2-point conversion attempt with 4 minutes left to attempt to go up by a field goal, 100 yards, easy.
Gone.
That'll seal the game.
You saw
for
Matt
the
stop
Chiefs.
running at like the 35. He stopped running at the 35. Man.
Yeah. But Eric Berry with 8 points alone yesterday. Yeah, again, you can't say enough about this guy. And the Falcons fall to 7-5.
The Atlanta Falcons did some great things yesterday, obviously, but Matt Ryan, I don't think there were, bad throws. I just think there were great plays by Eric Berry. I mean, you can't stare down receivers and expect it to go well when you're facing an elite. I mean, other than Earl Thomas, Who is seeing Eric Berry in the safety position? I can't name one. So definitely looking for the Falcons to, they're still in the lead. They're in the playoffs with a tiebreaker with Tampa Bay. But they can't drop another game. And this Kansas City squad, we're going to talk about them later, but
they're hot.
They are hot.
They're hot. Few other scores from around the league. The Packers beat the Texans in the snow on Sunday. So now you got the Tennessee Titans tied for that division lead in the AFC South.
How do you
4
feel about
games
that?
to go.
How do you feel
Man,
about
I feel
that?
ecstatic. Cannot believe it. Colts play tonight against the Jets. If the Colts win that game, we've got three teams tied for the lead in the AFC South. Titans got the Broncos coming up on Sunday.
Okay.
But it's an exciting time to be a Tennessee Titan.
It is.
They're back in the mix.
It's
It's
crazy.
been a while.
It's crazy.
A few other scores. The Raiders over the Bills, 38-24. Derek Carr is the real deal. The Raiders are the real deal.
He's a monster.
He is.
He is a monster. Right now, I think, a couple of weeks ago, I would have said that Matt Ryan was a clear MVP frontrunner. I'm changing my mind today. Derek Carr, outstanding, in the fourth quarter. What was it in the fourth quarter? He has, 13 touchdowns? Is he at 13 or 15?
Yep,
0
he's
interceptions.
certainly Mr. Clutch this year in the NFL. Seahawks beat the Panthers 40-7. All this talk. Cam Newton shows up without a tie and he gets sat. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
I've never seen
What's
that.
Ron Rivera trying to do here?
He's trying to show that, we're a better football team than this. You're the reigning MVP of the National Football League. And for Cam Newton to, it's been an off year for Cam Newton. And we all know, all fans know that he's played better football previously, but it's a statement. You're the quarterback of the team. We have a clear dress code with ties, shirt and coat. Follow the dress code, man. That's all you have to do. Just simply follow the rules.
Follow the dress code. Stick around for a press conference. It's the little things.
The little
things.
things.
Yeah. All right. Notable games this weekend. So Raiders, Chiefs, 2 of the hottest teams in the league right now.
Yeah.
Raiders are going to the Chiefs. Andy Reid's got this team playing well, but who you got?
I'm going Chiefs, man. I really like what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball. I just, Eric Berry, again, he's a game changer. Alex Smith is he's just always been so good. Ever since being drafted by out of Utah in 2005 to the 49ers, he has just been amazing. And he's very cerebral with his throws. Travis Kelce has been the best tight end in football all year. Your guy in Nashville, Delaney Walker, might have a thing or two to say about that, but I'm going Chiefs.
Okay, I've got the Raiders. They're just so hot right now. Amari Cooper and Derek Carr finally establishing a connection, which is great for my fantasy football team. Broncos going to Nashville to play the Titans. Huge game for Tennessee. Trevor Siemian hasn't been playing great this season, but I think he's been playing good enough. He's got the Broncos in a decent spot. I mean, what do you think?
He's just so average. He's going to give you a touchdown or two and an interception and 250 yards.
Well, I mean, what did you think the Broncos expected going in? I mean, did anyone expect this guy to blow up the league?
Just light up the stat sheet? Probably not, but he's not losing them games.
Exactly.
It's a real placeholder. It's kind of like Peyton Manning last year.
It was a lot like Peyton
he's
Manning.
not going to lose you games, but you're not going to say, all right, Trevor, we have 45 seconds and 2 timeouts. Go win us this game.
Right. Exactly.
So I am going to go Broncos, though, because this defense is not going anywhere. Von
right.
Miller, you got Chris Harris Jr., you got, TJ Ward.
Talib. That defense is
You
winning
can't-
games
they're
in
just
Denver.
winning
Absolutely.
games,
I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans. Titans are going to get the W at home. That offense has been playing so well. I don't know. They'll probably lose, but I'm going to go ahead and pick
I was
the
watching
Titans.
the Titans a couple weeks ago, man. They carved up the Green Bay Packers.
Absolutely.
Marcus Mariota is
Man, he's getting better each week.
Each week. And DeMarco Murray, I should have drafted him in fantasy. I should have, because he's
best decision I've made in college.
He's been a gem. He has been a gem. So.
All right, so Texans and Colts, huge game for the Tennessee Titans, huge game for the AFC South next week. What about that one?
Brock Osweiler is being paid over $80 million to stink up the joint.
He's not good.
I'm going Colts by 2 touchdowns. Andrew Luck, although he is overrated as well, he is still elite when it comes to throwing the football.
I think he's going to get back to being that quarterback that we knew in his first couple years in the league. So I think the biggest game of the weekend next week, Sunday Night Football, Cowboys and Giants. Cowboys, of course, their only loss was Week 1 to the New York Giants. What do you think?
There are a lot of great wide receivers in the NFL, and the Giants have one of them in Odell Beckham Jr. I am going Giants. Again, I think the Cowboy train is going to be on hold. And Dak Prescott hasn't had a bad game yet.
No.
He has not had a bad game. And
is this his first bad game?
You know, I think this might be it. Landon Collins back there. I mean, there is a short list of Defensive Player of the Year. Landon Collins is on that list. I mean, he is doing it all from the defensive back position. And Vernon, as well as JPP, he's having a heck of a season.
Absolutely.
So
JPP with that hand.
He's winning that club for a second. Nah, but Giants by a field goal. It's going to be a good one. What about you?
Man, I think the Cowboys go in there and run them out of the stadium.
Wow.
I think the Cowboys in that first game did not have everything figured out. They're on such a roll now. They look confident. Yeah. Zeke looks like he knows he's the best player in the league.
He runs with authority.
Exactly.
I haven't
he
seen
runs
it.
angry. He runs angry. Like you said, Dak hasn't had a bad game. I don't think they start now. Giants are a good football team, though. I think Giants can make a push in the playoffs. But I've got the Cowboys in this one. We're going to go to break again. We come back. We're going to talk bowl season, my favorite time of the year. Tennessee, quick recap on their football season. And maybe some Heisman talk and some farewells here in Studio 40. So
farewells.
Stay with us.
The UT Student Health Center offers a variety of services for students, faculty, and staff of the university. Our full-service pharmacy is staffed with licensed pharmacists who are dedicated to the health and well-being of the UT community. Located on campus across from the Rock, the UT Student Health Center Pharmacy provides the same services offered at large retail chains at your convenience. We accept most insurance plans, so you'll be able to purchase the medication you need for an affordable price. At the University of Tennessee, your health is essential. So come by our pharmacy and remember, a healthy vol is a happy vol.
Let's talk about, Tennessee football.
Let's do it.
We
usually start the show with that, but we're going to end the show. Yeah, we're going to save it.
What other way could we end our tenure at Sports Mecca?
Except talking about the disappointment of the Tennessee football season. I know.
Oh, man.
So, I mean, are there any steps forward right now? You take a step back for a second.
Okay.
Well, can you point out any steps forward from last season?
I will say that wide receiver U got a little bit better.
A little bit better.
A little bit better. I will say that I'm literally sitting here trying to find things to say, and I just can't do it. It's hard to be a Tennessee fan right now. There's a lot of disappointment. You choke away, first of all, in a chance to go to the SEC championship, first time since 2007. It was a complete choke job. Let's just be real. You choke away a chance at the Sugar Bowl if you just beat Vanderbilt.
9-3 in a Sugar Bowl spot is a successful season.
That is a successful season. I would have been okay. I would have been fine. But, you get out-coached twice, losing to South Carolina and to Vanderbilt.
And it was coaching, I think.
It was completely.
Josh Dobbs was 31 for 34 with 340 yards and 4 touchdowns on that day in Nashville. I mean, any game where Dobbs plays like that, you cannot possibly think that the Vols are going to lose.
In the month of November, there's not a better quarterback, I think. You could throw Lamar Jackson in, but statistically, than Joshua Dobbs.
Most passing touchdowns in the SEC, highest QB rating in the SEC. I mean, this is not something that anybody would have said going into the season. There were some injuries. Chad Kelly was injured. But Dobbs has been fantastic this year, and I don't think he's gotten enough credit. And do you see him making any kind of impact in the league next year?
I definitely see him getting drafted. If you want to look at the statistics, there are a total of 4 quarterbacks now that have thrown for at least 50 touchdowns and ran for 25 in SEC history. You have Johnny Manziel, you have Cam Newton, and you have Tim Tebow, and now you have Joshua Dobbs. And with that being said, all 3 of those besides Dobbs got a start in the NFL, and I think it continues. I think it gets drafted early 5th to late 6th.
Okay, and when is it officially too early to start talking about Guarantano or Dormady?
I think you can start the conversation as soon as the bowl game is over, because you need to know who's going to be the on-field general for your football team. And I will say that this Tennessee football team might have the best quarterback room in the nation, not only the SEC, but you got guys, Quentin Dormady, Jared Guarantano, and let's not forget Sharon Jones.
Man,
he came back
I want to see Sharon Jones.
Sharon Jones is very, very athletic. He's very cerebral with what he does.
He's a great presence there on that Tennessee bench, too.
He's a great – it's kind of like John Kelly and how the players respect him so much. It's the same thing with Sharon.
Exactly. It makes me curious to see him do something. Spring practice will certainly be interesting. We haven't had a quarterback battle like this in Knoxville in a very long time. Very long time. So let's talk Music City Bowl. That's where the Vols are going to be in Nashville against Nebraska. Now, if you ask me, after the 8-4 season, you take a step back, I think this is really best case scenario. It's not a great scenario, but in the conditions the Vols are now, I think it's the best case scenario. You're playing a major blue blood college football team in a good city like Nashville. I mean, Vols definitely is better than a Belk Bowl against Minnesota.
Obviously,
obviously. This is a throwback a little bit to the 90s. Vols played Nebraska in a couple of bowl games, 1997 in the Orange Bowl, and then 1999 again in the Fiesta Bowl. Vols lost both of those. Peyton Manning in 97. T. Martin was quarterback in 1999. So this is an interesting matchup here. What do you know about Nebraska here? What sticks out to you?
Well, let's just go straight to quarterback play with Tommy Armstrong. I mean, he is just really, really athletic. If you see right here, just his hurdle, I mean, he's just a next level type of player. And he can throw the football as well. Let's not be confused. He's not just a one-dimensional quarterback. Literally, he can put it on a rope and he can just toss it and, eventually a playmaker is going to make a play on the ball. So Tommy Armstrong is definitely the real deal. And I'm not sure if this Tennessee defense, as depleted as it is, can stop this Nebraska offense.
Tommy Armstrong, even with all the injury problems he's faced this year, over 2,000 yards passing, over 500 rushing. That Nebraska defense only allowing 22.8 points per game. So this is a good matchup for the Vols, I think, in terms of the two programs that are playing each other. And I think it's a good matchup on paper as well. Be interesting to see what happens. Vols also need to get a little bit healthier, though, before the bowl game.
Definitely. And I think that'll come. I mean, you got to understand the players are stopped practicing until Saturday. So, there's a chance to take finals and get back together physically and mentally. So looking for Tennessee to go out strong. And, the players, they know.
Right.
They know that what this season could have been.
Right.
But I think, it's not empty. The Tennessee football team is in a lot better place today than it was a year ago.
Well, since they do know, everybody knows, you can't ignore the fact there's an aura of disappointment around Knoxville right now. And Butch Jones, although in front of the media, hasn't really directly related to that fact that it's been a disappointing season, which has upset a lot of Tennessee fans. But I'm curious, do you think that this team is going to show up? I mean, everyone knows that this is not the game that they want it to be in or they should have been in. And I know the seniors are going to show up as the last game. But, I mean, as a whole, you really just don't know when this team is going to show up. Is it going to be like a Columbia, South Carolina? Or is it going to be like going to Georgia?
You cannot tell with this Tennessee football team what they're going to do. But I truly believe in my heart of hearts that this Tennessee football team is going to show up. Defensive presence, Derek Barnett, still has some lobbying to do.
Absolutely.
He's pissed off, obviously.
He's got a record to beat.
I mean, he's got a record to beat. I mean, Reggie White, he's coming for that record.
Absolutely.
And, you have Joshua Dobbs, who still has a draft stock. You have Alvin Kamara, who still has a draft stock. You still have, guys that really want to go to the pros. Corey Vereen, just to name a couple others. So, I think the Tennessee football team might show, us Tennessee faithful something that we want to see.
That game is December 30th in Nissan Stadium in Nashville in the Music City Bowl. All right, Heisman. I love talking Heisman. Here we're at the end of the season. We're about to start bowl season. Lamar Jackson, I think he's going to be holding up that trophy, but I don't think he's the best player in college football. But what do you think?
You cannot lose to the University of Kentucky and
right?
win the Heisman Trophy.
Even if you have 51 touchdowns.
Even if you have 51 touchdowns, I understand. And I was the biggest Lamar advocate. But it's not all his fault, because if you look at the offensive line play, he is getting tagged. I mean, but we can say the same. It's the same offensive line unit, So he's just, you can't lose to Kentucky and expect to win. So if I had to choose one person, I'm going with the whole body work, Deshaun Watson out of Clemson. I feel that he is pound for pound the best quarterback and the best overall player in college football right now. So.
I agree with you. I think Deshaun Watson is a better football player than Lamar Jackson. But when you look at stats alone, it's hard to argue. Lamar Jackson, almost 3,500 pass yards, 30 passing touchdowns, 1,500 rush yards, and 21 rushing touchdowns. That's hard to ignore. He had a few really big games that helped pad those stats.
Right.
But I think with the Heisman, you're looking at stats and the most electric player in the country. And I think Lamar Jackson can certainly make a huge argument for being the most electric player in the country. Yeah. But Deshaun Watson's been throwing the ball well this year, 4,000 yards, 37 passing touchdowns. But in that other mix of guys whose names have been thrown around, you got Jake Browning out of Washington.
I mean, his
who's
numbers
had a
are
very
off the
efficient season.
charts.
Absolutely. I mean, almost 3,500 yards, 42 throwing touchdowns, and only 7 picks. And then who's you got Lamar, Deshaun, Browning, and then who's one other guy?
Guy we're forgetting about is a quarterback that was in Knoxville actually a year ago, Baker Mayfield. I really love what Baker Mayfield is doing on the offensive side of the ball. They lost a lot early, but they snuck back in and won the Big 12.
And he played excellent down that stretch.
He's just, and he's coming back next year.
Exactly.
I feel like Baker Mayfield's been at Oklahoma for 7 years.
Feels like it.
Back to the topic.
It's not even his first school.
It's not. He went to Texas Tech, but I really like what Baker Mayfield's doing, and I think he should definitely be in New York. And you can talk about the other reason, Oklahoma in that wide receiving unit.
Man, Day Westbrook has 74 receptions, almost about 1,500 receiving yards on the season, 16 touchdowns. He's electric. All right. I was dreading this part of the show, but I guess we got to get to it eventually. Malcolm, what do you want to say, man? Last show after the last 2 years.
Last show, man. I just really want to thank all the Sports Mecca family for what you've done. I told myself that it was going to be a very emotional day for me today. From Clint Elmore in the back to we got Skip, we got Brad, my executive producer, director, Danny. I love you so much. I really, you don't know how much you've done for me. And I really, really appreciate you. All the 175ers that have helped, you guys are the best. Everybody that's come and gone, I really appreciate you. And another shout out, Clint, you have really molded me into a professional, and I really appreciate you. And hopefully, if and when, with God willing, I do make it, to something bigger and better than this desk, it's all to you, man. So I really appreciate you. And Lucas, man, you have held it down. We have had some debates. We have had some crazy times on here. So I really appreciate my man right here. And Shaq, he's over here on camera one right now. Thank you again, man. And it's gonna be sad, but I'll pass it on to you, bro.
Everything he just said. Danielle back there has been great. She's been with us for the last 2 years as well, producing. Clint, huge help, as always down to answer any questions we might have. Clint, I'll probably be annoying you with a few things next semester. But yeah, thank you to everyone at Sports Mecca. This is been a great experience for the last 2 years. And thank you, Malcolm.
Gosh,
it's been real.
It has been real, brother. It has been real. Favorite memory? I will definitely say when we were first starting out. You remember that desk over there?
Yeah.
That was like the nice desk, and I really enjoyed it. It was my first segment, and I was talking about Kentucky, and I was talking about how dominant of a basketball program they were. That was my first show. I had the butterflies of a freaking, oh my gosh. And
I was on there doing a stand-up about the state of the SEC East at some point where Tennessee was 6-6, and we still had that delusional thought that we could win the conference.
That we could win the conference because we're delusional, man.
Well, let's hope that in the next couple of years, whoever's sitting on this desk will have better things to talk about in terms of Tennessee football. Yep. But no, these last 2 years have been amazing. Thank you, everyone back there, all of our interns here at Studio 40. For the last time,
I am, oh my gosh, I'm Malcolm Harris.
I'm Lucas Panzica. We won't see you next time, but someone else will.
Stay tuned.
Have a good one.